Hello everybody, and welcome to another installment of what is one of my favorite little projects to do every week, and that is talking about the hero packs of our lovely heroes in Marvel Champions. And this week, I'm going a little bit out of order. I'm making it a little bit special because this happens to be approximately the 5-year anniversary of Marvel Champions. I was not playing at the beginning. I came to the game probably about 2 years ago. So I wasn't playing for the first 3 years, 2019 through 2022. But knowing that this is going to be the 5-year anniversary, I decided that what I wanted to do was spend every day this week going through one of the 5 heroes from the core set. Not only as a way to mix it up a little bit, but also because I felt like if these are going to be new player guides, maybe I should be talking about the cards that actually a new player would get their hands on, and that would be the core set heroes. And then additionally, what I'd like to do today, based on a request that came from my comment section on the Rogue video, somebody brought up a really good point that maybe what I could do is highlight a deck or two from these heroes to help a new player out to find a deck they want to build. And so what I've done is I've already scouted them out. This week I'm only, because I'm doing 5 of them in 1 week, and I don't want to go out of my way to recommend decks that are kind of untested entirely. I have highlighted one deck. I've already picked them out. And the idea here being that they are decks for the core set heroes that will include at most 4 packs. Thinking back, one of them might have 5 packs. But the idea being that this way we can communicate, okay, so you need the core set and then you need these 3 or 4 other packs. We're not asking to go with the full card pool. We're going with what can we do with what is going to be my next steps. I really love Captain America. That's not a good example. I really love, I love Black Panther. What hero packs or what campaign boxes might I want to buy if I want to build a deck for Black Panther? And so that's going to be the purpose. I'll probably restate that in the other videos for this week. Before we get into the major parts of this review, just remember that if you are somebody that loves this kind of content, go check out The Winning Hand. If you're someone that enjoys hearing about all the encounter sets and everything, go listen to Critical Encounters. It's a great podcast. And then for gameplay, we got Ray Plays Games and Solo Marvel Champion. And then just for all things think pieces, Get Up in Game. Either way, we are here today to talk about T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, classic Avenger, classic solo hero, part of a movie that, I think it was, that would have been 2018. So 2018 was when the Black Panther movie came out with Chadwick Boseman. Cultural event. I still remember the people I follow on Twitter who were just so jazzed by it. Black Twitter was just ablaze the day that trailer came out, and that momentum just continued on into the release of the movie on the shoulders of T'Challa here. He is our alter ego today. He's a full recovery alter ego with the King and Wakanda traits. And the ability Foresight, which is a setup ability, search your deck for a Black Panther upgrade and add it to your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So we'll get into that in a second. That's actually really important to Black Panther's persona, or his entire deal in the game. We'll get into that in just a moment. Then we've got his hero side. Oh, I should also highlight. I always fail this. 6 hand size, 11 hit points. So he's pretty bulky, especially, I don't have all the other heroes in front of me, but I want to say that he had maybe the 2nd highest health. Okay, so he had the 3rd highest health. So it's She-Hulk, then Captain Marvel, then Black Panther, Spider-Man, and then Iron Man, I believe. I've got too many tabs open. Okay, we're not gonna get wrapped up in that, but pretty good health, and it's gonna make sense on the other side. So we got Black Panther, a 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense hero with the Avenger and Wakanda traits, and Retaliate 1, meaning that after this character is attacked, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. And then you got 5 hand size and 11 health. So having a pretty good amount of health and being open to getting additional health through whatever means, that Retaliate is going to make a difference. I think it was really good for them to put Retaliate on a hero in the core set just to establish that that is something that can be done, because I think there are other Retaliates in the core set, but I think that one of the ones that you're probably not going to see too often is MODOK, because he's part of a modular encounter set that just doesn't get called for in any of the core set encounters. But either way, and he has Retaliate too, but either way, having Black Panther, super simple, at least in terms of on the card. You go get an upgrade, we'll get into the upgrades in just a second, and you go to the other side, he's a very balanced hero, and he is telling you that he wants to be attacked because he can benefit from that. And I would say that having played Black Panther recently, and having played him about a year ago, it is accurate to say that Retaliate, one, it will finish off minions that are problematic, but are small. Like, you don't even have to bother like attacking them, because they'll attack you once and you'll just retaliate them away. Being able to take a tough off from a villain attack, being able to shorten the clock on a villain by a turn or two over the course of the game can make a difference. Either way, I appreciate Black Panther for being simple, but with a lot going on. I think it's probably best that we're going to do this in a different order. Okay, so let's start with those upgrades that you can get. And we're going to focus one-on-one, but he has 4 upgrades that you can get at the beginning of the game. And we're going to just go one by one down the line. Panther Claws is a 2-cost upgrade. Let me just make sure here. So you add it to your hand. So when it comes to these upgrades, all the cost on all of them will matter. So a 2-cost upgrade, Black Panther weapon, special, which is for an attack that deals 2 damage to an enemy, 4 instead if it is the last step of the sequence. We'll get into that. And then just in reminder text, it says, play Wakanda Forever to use this ability. So importantly, 1, these are upgrades. There's plenty of things that kind of like pay attention to upgrades. Caught off guard is going to take away upgrades. Part of the Nemesis set for Psylocke, I think it's the side scheme, cares about how many upgrades are in play. That's going to count towards this. You are going to have to pay for it. Is it the highest? Is it the lowest? That's going to factor in depending on what treacheries you get that might get rid of upgrades that fit into a certain category. All of Black Panther's cost 2 though, so at least in terms of if you have those out, you are going to be able to kind of decide which one's going to be the best. Panther Claws is an okay card. Deals 2 damage when you play Wakanda Forever. Like I said, we'll get into that in just a second. And 4 if it's the last one, which means that if it's the only one you haven't played, you Wakanda Forever, it's going to deal 4. I would say in terms of a repeatable damage outlet, it's not bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. I would much rather have something like Domino's Pistols that can do damage every turn. And there's 5 Wakandas Forever, which kind of makes Black Panther's kit a little unique in the fact that he doesn't have a lot of cards. We're actually going to talk about a lot of cards here. But you'd like to hope that you will be able to play Wakanda Forever pretty regularly. He has a 5-6 hand size, so you should be able to go through your deck fast enough that you're finding these cards, let alone the fact that I think there's other parts of the kit that will help you to find them. But this isn't the most reliable thing, but that's what you get with Black Panthers. You could have these big turns, and your consistency is going to be all over the map, but when you have good turns, they're big turns. Next up, we have Tactical Genius, a 2-cost upgrade. Black Panther skill. Special again is a thwart. This is his thwart skill, or his thwart upgrade. Remove 1 threat from a scheme, 2 threat instead if this is the final step of the sequence. This one really feels like a dud. It's fine if it's the last one. I guess Black Panther is malleable. The last step of the sequence can be whatever you want it to be. This, I do feel like feels a little underwhelming. And we'll get into it. I don't think he has any other way to do any kind of thwarting. So in terms of like what he naturally does, this is as good as it gets. He's not, in my opinion, he's not a great thwarting character. I mean, he does thwart for 2 on his base. But as a hero, he's just well-rounded anyway. Tactical Genius isn't really the most impressive card to me. Then we've got Vibranium Suit, a 2-cost upgrade. Armor, Black Panther, and the special on it is move 1 damage from your hero to an enemy, 2 damage instead if this is the final step of the sequence. I like this card. It is a little kind of fiddly because you're taking your dial and you're going, okay, I go from 8 to 9, and then I go over to this person, and do I put a damage counter on them, or is it the villain, so I move their counter? It's a cool effect. It's something that we don't see very often. I can't really think of... Oh god, is it one of the Daredevils also does that? It like moves damage from itself. It might be the Defense Daredevil. Either way, this is kind of an interesting effect that we don't see very often. It can make a difference because you can suddenly go from an attack from the villain will definitely kill you to an attack with your defense is going to be able to hopefully get you through the round. Or even this is a way that you could, if he's in aggression, kind of play around with the half your HP archetype that exists, where you know, it's like the full body charge and other cards that I'm not remembering, but basically from the X-Men wave, I think it was the X-23 pack, gives you cards that were the start of I care about how much health I have left. And this is one that could very well be used for that. I haven't done that yet, so I can't say if that is at all consistent, but it is something to keep in mind. Like, if you want to play around with your health, this is a way to do that. I cannot speak to if that is a good strategy, but that is something you can do. And the last upgrade is Energy Daggers, a 2-cost upgrade, Black Panther weapon. The special is choose a player, deal 1 damage to the villain, and to each enemy engaged with that player, 2 damage instead if it's the final step of the sequence. So this is cool. This is a way to do spread damage. It is something like, this might be the upgrade that you'd look for if you were going up against Ultron. Okay, actually, let's entertain that for a second. So this is an okay card. It's nothing to write home about, but like I said, if you're going to, if you suddenly find yourself with T'Challa and you have to pick a upgrade, this is something that I would pick if I was going up against a minion heavy scenario. Ultron being the easiest low hanging fruit example because it makes minions that have 1 health. This is one that I would pick if I were in that archetype where I cared about my health, or if I was in another minion heavy one where 1 or 2 is going to be a way to take some damage and then get rid of a minion that like just is, 2 health guard minions, if you know that those are in the thing. Tactical Genius, I don't know that this is the first card that I would pick at all, but I guess if I was in solo and I was in a scenario where the main scheme goes up by 1 every turn, this might be a good way to counteract it. Not the first card I would pick, but it is a direction you could go. And then this one is one where if I was going up against a villain that gets tough a lot, like Juggernaut, he gets tough quite conveniently, quite a lot. I think Rhino also does that. I'm trying to think back. I can't think off the top of my head of ones where they just, a lot of treacheries give toughness, or where they just like get toughness a lot. But if I was going up against someone that had toughness, this is a nice way to just knock off the toughness and then do your other stuff. But how are we going to activate these upgrades? Well, we're going to do it with Wakanda Forever, which is kind of unprecedented. I think Wanda has 4 of her Hex Bolts. Black Panther has 5 copies of Wakanda Forever, which is important because that's how you're going to do your thing. Oh. I had this in a deck, and okay. That just got shuffled into the hero pack from the last time I was playing Black Panther. Okay. So we've got 5 copies of Wakanda Forever. A 1-cost event, tactic, hero action, resolve the special ability on each Black Panther upgrade you control in any order. Resolving each ability is a step in this sequence. So that's what when the upgrades call for a sequence, whatever one is typically what I'll do when I get them is I will just lay out the cards and be like, this is the order that they're all happening in. This is a horrible shot for this, but basically we're just going to go across here and this will be the last one. Just for organizational thing, I'll just get them into a pile and do whatever. Wakanda Forever is a very simple card. It's good that it costs 1. It's good that there are 5 copies. If there is any way to look up tactics, which I don't know outside of Psylocke, I think it's Psylocke specific cards. So I don't know if there's a way to specifically look for a tactic. Not an avenue I've gone down, but like if you need to, you can always go look for them. They have a range of resource types. These 2 are wild, but then you've got one of each of the other ones. So that is also something to keep in mind. He does have a balance of these abilities. But overall, Wakanda Forever is a cool card, but it's just kind of essential to what Black Panther does. It's a card you need. Then we've got 3 copies of Vibranium, which, let me see here. I feel bad for saying this. Might be my favorite card. That sounds so stupid that he just has a double wild resource, and that's what makes him good. But it makes him very rich. The fact that his kit already comes with a double wild, so basically you can sort of ignore the generic resource cards that come with the core set because you've already got basically 3 copies, but they're all wild, and that's pretty cool. I didn't think I would be here, but all of a sudden I'm thinking about it, and I guess what I will say is the reason why Vibranium is kind of so stands out to me is because Black Panther's kit is cool, but it's all very level. I don't even want to say that it all kind of like plays fair, because that might be undercutting what it does, but it's all sort of, it's a bunch of 3s, and then these are 4s. Like, they're just good cards, and I think there's only one card in his kit that I don't love. Like, even with his upgrades, like, they all have a purpose. And yeah, I guess at the end of the day, Vibranium somehow is just my favorite card because I think it is the most generically good card. Yeah, like I said, I didn't sit down thinking that's where I was going to be, but that's where I ended up. Next up, we've got Shuri, who I think is maybe the other 4 out of 5 in the kit. She is a 2-cost ally, 1 health, 1 attack, 3 health. Genius Wakanda, traded. With a response, after Shuri enters play, search your deck for an upgrade and add it to your hand. This can be any kind of upgrade. Shuffle your deck. So she's the kind of ally that I would like to just recur over and over again. I don't necessarily know that there's really a way outside of leadership to bring her back constantly, but she's a cheap ally. She's got a good amount of health, and she's going to get you an upgrade of any kind. So if you do, I mean, that's why I had electrostatic armor just like sitting in the pack. It's because you can just go grab it. So you can just go get you whatever you need, and it's just part of what makes Black Panther consistent. Is his kit is built around consistency, and Shuri helps with that. Like, overall, good card. Then we've got Ancestral Knowledge, a 1-cost event alter ego action. Choose up to 3 different cards in your discard pile and shuffle them into your deck. So this is a way to get some Vibranium back, a Wakanda Forever. Maybe if one of your upgrades got taken out with caught off guard, or you can just any card in your kit. Like, maybe you've used up all of the counters on your the shield, whatever that's called, that blocks the damage for you and pings it back at the opponent. Whatever you want to get back with your alter ego, you can just shuffle them back into your deck. That gives you some recursion, gives you an extra turn or 2 before you get that encounter card. And yeah, it's an okay card. I would say that alter ego cards are always hard for me to rate highly, because unless I know the hero really well, I can't really speak to how often I'd want to be an alter ego. There's some heroes that want you to be an alter ego, and Black Panther might be a character that wants to take control of that for recovery, but I don't know. And so I feel like this is a card that I just don't see myself using too often. I say that, and I'm a big fan of Mutant Education for X-Men heroes, but that also costs 0. Okay, and then last card we have for the kit is a 2-cost support, the Golden City, location Wakanda, traded, and another alter ego action, exhaust the Golden City, draw 2 cards. So I like this card enough. Getting the card advantage is cool. not a lot more to say about it. Once again, I don't want to speak to how often T'Challa wants to be T'Challa. I feel like every time I've played Black Panther, it's either been in leadership, where I have a lot of allies that I'm kind of throwing in front of the damage if I'm really that concerned about it. Plus he's got Retaliate, so I kind of just want to defend. And alternatively, I don't, or I'm in defense where I've preserved my life total enough. I'm blocking, but I'm like preventing too much damage. So I don't have a lot of reasons to go to Alter Ego. I think a hero that, or a player that knows Black Panther better might be able to say, I go to Alter Ego every turn I can. So I'm swapping between the two all the time. And so this card could get you a lot of cards back. But for me, it's just kind of a, 2 cards is really good. I mean, that's why you play Captain Marvel, because she'll just get you cards all the time. And Black Panther, once again, his hero kit is, like I said, a bunch of 3 out of 5s. They're 60% good. They're not bad. And I would say that, to me, Ancestral Knowledge is a 2 out of 5. Golden City, to me, is a 3 out of 5. Just like most of the other cards. They're going to get you by, they're going to be fine, and you're going to have a decent enough time. Alright, and we move over to the deck tech segment of this video. Here we have a deck that I found, and I promise in the future when I go to look at decks, I will not necessarily be highlighting decks that are 5 years old, but Brian V is a deck builder that I've seen before and that I do have some faith in. Plus, he's got an excellent bios. That's one of the other things that stands out with Brian V that I've noticed when I do come across one of his decks. He's got a good outline of considerations and everything. But either way, we're going to just take this because I like I said at the beginning, I picked this because I wanted it to be something that used, packs that were accessible and a new player could go get. So this uses the core set, Captain America, Miss Marvel, and Thor. And these were kind of some of the first heroes that I got anyway. I think Captain America was the last one that I got, because I got Miss Marvel because she happened to be there at the store that I went to, Thor because I have to have Thor, and then Captain America was probably somewhere closer to a dozen heroes in. Either way, we'll just real quick go over this. So this is a deck that I looked at and I thought, this actually looks like something that I would advise, that I would build with a limited card pool. We've got Hercules, who comes from the Thor pack. We've got Hulk, core set, Lockjaw, who comes from the Miss Marvel. So if you want to recur this, because this is I think a pretty rare thing. This is an ally that you can replay from your discard pile. So if you want to use him to pay for Wakanda Forever, you have an outlet to then bring him back later if you've just got 4 resources sitting around. Mockingbird core set, Tiger core set again, yep. And then Uppercut, a card we've seen a lot. Easy card to replace. If you do have a bigger card pool, you can say, do I have something that is more efficient to deal 5 or more damage at 2 or 3 cost? Although Wakanda's Forever, Energy, Power, the Power of Aggression, Low-Hanging Fruit, and then we've got Avengers Mansion, Hall of Heroes, which is another reason to get the Thor pack. I think this, well, no, I think it would say here if this also came in Valkyrie. So maybe Hall of Heroes is exclusively a Thor card, and I just didn't realize that before. I'm trying to think if there are any other pack. Well, once again, no. If it came from a different pack, it would be listed here. So yeah, I'm just gonna say, pick up the Thor pack because you get Hall of Heroes. It's a support. Sorry, as my first deck tech in this format, I don't mean to just navigate away from everything. But yes, a support that as you defeat minions, you put glory counters on it, then Alter Ego, you can remove 3 glory counters to draw 3 cards. This is helpful because in decks where you want to be taking out minions, you're probably going to go down to Alter Ego sparingly, and if you basically can kill 3 minions, draw 3 cards, then it's a good thing to, you get your recovery in, and then you just draw a bunch of cards and you're good to go. Helicarrier, we've seen a lot from the core set. Then Combat Training, Downtime, which I didn't realize was not a core set card. Oops, sorry, my mouse moved on me. Did not realize that was not a core set card. So that comes from Miss Marvel, another reason to get Miss Marvel. Ups your recovery by 2. We also see this in several of the X-Men packs. So yeah, actually what I'm going to do is say that because The pack count is probably a little outdated. There are other places that you can get this card from, because I know this was reprinted in the X-Men stuff. So the website must just not track that. It just tracks what it was when it was originally published. Energy Dagger. Oh no. Honorary Avenger. So this is a way to turn. Well, I guess it's a way to give additional health to your minions, but also, and I guess additionally to your comrades if you happen to play multiplayer. But it also just is a way to get the Avenger trait on stuff. At this point in the game, I don't know that really mattered too much, and looking at the remaining cards, it's not something that I think it's not something that you needed to worry about. But yeah, this is just a way to, for the price of one card, get some additional health onto your minions or onto your allies, which can be super nice. And then part of the namesake of this, Jarnbjorn, a Thor card that is an upgrade that you can go get. Oh no, you can go get with Shuri. You can't go get with T'Challa. But either way, a restricted weapon that when your hero attacks an enemy, you can spend a physical resource to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So you can spread that damage out. This is actually, I think this is a good enough reason to, if you didn't already get the Thor pack, Thor is an acquired taste. I will fully admit that, even as a Thor aficionado, he is an acquired taste. But he does come with some really good aggression cards. So Hall of Heroes and Jarnbjorn alone are a good enough reason to pick up the Thor pack. If you want to substitute out Hercules for somebody else, that's all power to you. But Jarnbjorn is a really cool card, and so is Hall of Heroes. But now we will get to the Obligation and Nemesis pack. And we are back from the deck review. Here we've got the Obligation, and then we'll move into the Nemesis kit. The Obligation is Affair of State. An obligation given to the T'Challa player. You may flip to your alter ego form, choose to either exhaust T'Challa and remove this from the game, or choose and discard a Panther upgrade you control, discard this obligation. So if you want this to come back over and over again, if you don't need one of the upgrades, you think you'll be able to get by without it because I don't need to thwart it. I've got that under control. You can just toss that away, and hopefully this won't come back. Or if you just don't want to deal with this again, you just exhaust T'Challa. It's a core set obligation. I know we're coming out of the X-Men waves, the X-Force and AOA waves, where these obligations are a little bit more nuanced. This is pretty basic. You're either inconveniencing yourself or you're just taking away one of your upgrades. It is what it is. Then we have the Nemesis, Killmonger. He's a minion with 2 scheme, 2 attack, and 5 health. Assassin, elite, mercenary. Killmonger cannot take damage from Black Panther upgrades. So let me just see here. The Vibranium Suit moves damage. I would... not sure on that one. Okay. We have at least 2 upgrades that directly deal damage. T'Challa is immune to them. I don't know about the Vibranium Suit that moves damage. That is 1 or 2 damage. I think overall you're just going to come up with other ways to get rid of Killmonger. He's got 5 health. Actually, notably, T'Challa does not have like a big 6 to 8 damage attack. He doesn't have events, really. I suppose that is notable. You do not have a way within his kit that just screams, this is how you get rid of Killmonger. So Killmonger probably will stick around for a little bit, but he does have an odd amount of life, which is perfect when you have your Retaliate can just sort of like balance that back out, and suddenly you get an attack in, you retaliate, and you get another attack in. So Killmonger might occupy 2 turns, or you have an ally, whatever. No big deal, but he does come into play with the side scheme Usurper of the Throne, or Usurp the Throne. Got a little too far ahead of myself there. A side scheme with 3 threat per player, and the Crisis icon. So you're going to get an extra encounter card every turn. Very basic, not a lot to write home about. I would say that in a different world, like if Black Panther were to come out today, I guess I would expect this to have like a when revealed, give Killmonger a tough status, or if you can't, it surges. No, that wouldn't be too much. I don't know. Either way, not a game designer. I guess all to say, if this were to come out today, I would just expect that this would have an effect outside of just increasing the amount of encounter cards you're going to get. Also, I know this is something I cover every once in a while. I'd be kind of on the fence about whether I'd want to get rid of this. I don't see this as too bad. I mean, obviously, symbiote suit is a symbiote suit. It's going to give you an extra encounter, or even Archangel has an acceleration icon. So I don't know. This isn't that threatening to me. I think you're probably fine. Then we've got 2 copies of Ritual Combat, a Treachery. When revealed, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Then choose to either deal X damage to your hero or place X threat on the main scheme. X is equal to 1 more than the number of boost icons on the discarded card. I think this is a fine card. I think the fact that it either deals damage or threat gives you the ability to not lose on the spot. Because you could flip over a card that's just going to add 4 threat to the main scheme, and you're just out. But that could just be 4 damage, and at that point, you can throw it at an ally. I think that's one of the things that I'll say about treacheries that deal damage, or even... No, I'm going to go with treacheries. Just treacheries that deal damage. Something that I always forget is that I can just throw that damage at an ally. I don't know why I don't, but that is a gap in my own gameplay. I just tend to forget that, like, oh, I've got an ally here. Let me just throw this 5 damage at this 1 health minion. But either way, I think this is a fair card. Last up, we have Heart-Shaped Herb, a Treachery Surge. When this card is revealed, reveal an additional counter card. And a revealed ability of give the villain and each minion engaged with you a tough status card. Okay, so there is a way for that to happen. This actually is thematic. Of course, this is going to give a tough status. I'm just surprised that it wasn't on the side scheme. And then the boost ability because the only icon on it is the boost ability to give the villain a tough status card. So this is fair. This actually might be the one card that I would really hate to draw, because not only have you hit Shadow of the Past, but then you've worked your way through the deck, you've hit Heart-Shaped Herb, and suddenly every enemy on the table is any enemy engaged with you is suddenly going to take an extra hit to get rid of it, and that can be obnoxious. Unless you're playing with Thor and you got Lightning Strike, then you got no problems there. Either way, like I said, this is probably the one card I'd be most worried about. But that should do it today. So that is T'Challa, Black Panther. That is Black Panther, who is, like I said, he's a very well-rounded hero. He's an all-around hero that I like. I think that he's a character that I feel like kind of gets overlooked in terms of the core set heroes. I think there's a lot of attention put on Spider-Man. There's a lot of attention put on to Captain Marvel. And then I feel like the other 3 get a range of attention, and I feel like Black Panther, at least in terms of the chatter that I see, gets the least amount of attention. And I feel like, especially now that we are in the age of the Change of Fortunes archetype, I think that pack, the Nightcrawler pack, did so much to make Defense Black Panther into a thing. I do think one of the things you're sacrificing when you play Black Panther is that you are not going to have a hero that he's thematic, but I feel like he is pretty general. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, I played Black Panther because I wanted to do this thing. It's like you played Black Panther because he's an all-around hero. He's got a pretty cool gimmick, and it's fairly consistent. And he's got Retaliate. He's just naturally got Retaliate. He has his pluses, but I feel like the reason why he's overshadowed is because his hooks are just more well-rounded. They're not as kind of like card advantage-y as I think a new player might think of them as. That said, you get to turn Wakanda Forever into 4 different abilities when you're living at your maximum. Wakanda Forever is 4 different effects. That's pretty cool. It's just, I think from a new player perspective and from a full collection standpoint, he just doesn't stand out enough. And I feel like that's a shame, because I feel like he's a really cool hero. But we will be back tomorrow when we talk about Captain Marvel. I look forward to that, and thank you for sitting through all of this, and have a great day.